Hi, everybody. DH, DH, DH,
Nuke, I don't think
DH.
we've. I think we've only talked about it like a little bit. Are you a fan of the DH?
Yeah, we did a little bit.
Yeah.
No,
Boo!
I don't like it. Surprise,
Oh,
surprise, right?
what a weird. This show is going to be completely different than all of our other shows, where Zoe and Aldo agree on something that Nuke is on the complete other side about.
Great.
I
Did you
love
tweet
it.
out the link? I was gonna retweet it.
Oh, that's it. All right, here we go. So, come on, Twitter. Here we go. Okay.
Come on, Twitter.
The Joe.
Is anyone like sick of the David Wright love fest?
Was he ever really that good?
Oh,
He
he
was.
was pretty good.
He was really good for about 5, 6 years, and then
All right.
I mean,
Fair
it
enough.
sucks what happened to him.
I think my
Go ahead.
my like number one prediction that's ever come true or whatever. My baseball insight was like back after he got hurt the first time. A couple buddies, they were talking about like their fantasy baseball league, and they're talking about like a trade with David Wright. I'm like, stay away from David Wright. He's going to be hurt the rest of his career. And I was right.
You were right about right. Nailed it.
Nailed it.
Wordsmith.
Nailed it.
All right. Tweeted.
It's just New York, dude. That's what New York does. Remember the Jeter farewell tour? Like it's
Well, the funny thing is they call him captain. Like, what the hell?
maybe he's their
You
captain.
just hate him because you're a Phillies fan.
I know, that's true.
We are live. Joe Madden fucked up big time.
I love it.
I mean,
I'm going heavy on that pile.
I'm not gonna. I'm man. Yeah, there's no defending what happened today.
Is that with regards to the pitcher
stroke.
bait? Yeah.
That and like
Someone-
everything else was he was doing some weird shit today.
Someone retweeting that from Sports
Yep.
Mockery, or do you want me to?
I just
That's
did.
done. I see it.
Oh, okay. Ooh. All right. You guys ready?
Yep.
I love the typing in the background.
Oh wait, hold
Makes
on.
me happy.
All right,
I
I'm
can do that
recording. I'm recording now.
As am I. All right, Nuke, you ready?
Ready.
All right. What's going on, everybody? It is Friday, September 14th, and you have found the Pinwheels and Ivy podcast. I am your host, Matt Sawaski. They call me Zoe. And with me, as always, Aldo Soto.
Oh, we're gonna go after Joe Madden today.
Oh, boy. And I know he's happy about it. Our very own resident fancy bitch, Matt Anuko. What's going on, Nuke?
It's
Hold
bad.
Oh, yes. I'm sorry. He's not a fancy batch this week. He is a basic batch. And
Basic.
What are you drinking this week?
Got a little vanilla latte. Got work to do. Gonna burn the midnight oil.
Yes, and he's wearing Uggs. I know it.
Oh God.
We have a jam-packed show for you for this week. We're going to talk about, and Nuke he's currently stretching, folks. He's doing lunges. He's doing actually the entire montage from Rocky IV all in one sitting. He's actually punching, hanging pieces of meat. He's carrying timber. He's getting ready because we are going to talk about Joe Madden and a very questionable call out in Washington, which could have a huge effect on this playoff push. And that actually brings us to what we're going to talk to next, where the Cubs have a ridiculous schedule to end the year going into the Major League playoffs. Then we're going to flip. Well, we're going to kind of stay with the Cubs, but we have a crosstown. Is it still the BP?
I don't think so. I think they got rid of that.
Yeah.
Cup, right?
The Crosstown Cup, whatever you call it now, is it actually going to mean something? So we're going to talk about that. Possible next man up for the manager of the White Sox, and I'm definitely going to win that argument.
No.
And then we'll bring it home like we usually do. So jam-packed show. If you're watching this live on YouTube, hi. If you're not, make sure you tune in on Thursday nights. We always tweet the link out. It's usually between 8 and 9:30 Central Time-ish. Yeah, so all that being said, let's tap this keg. All right, boys. All right, we're holding him back, ladies and gentlemen. He's literally foaming at the mouth right now. He is ready to go. We have to talk about this. He's a crazed animal. He looks like a pit bull. So weirdly, the Major League Baseball made the Cubs fly into a hurricane to play the Washington Nationals.
Hurricane's
Seems reasonable.
here. Come on.
I know. That's Cubs Twitter made it sound like they made him like come in on a rowboat.
The winds are whipping.
Yes. So
an astonishing 110 miles an hour.
But the Cubs went out and played the Nationals. So Joe Madden made a very, very questionable decision, which actually is going to, when the case goes to court on why the National League should have a DH, this will now be Exhibit A. So thank you for that, Joe. But Aldo, go ahead, do your thing, set the scene, let people know what happened.
So all of this starts really in the 8th inning when Pedro Strop comes in. There is 1 out in the bottom of the 8th. He comes in, gets 2 outs. Cubs can't score in the 9th. They go to extra innings. Strop pitches the bottom of the 9th too, so he has an inning and 2/3 under his belt. The Cubs have like no one else left in their bullpen after him. That's basically like all AAA guys, like Randy Rosario, who ended up getting the save, is like they're the best guy left after Strop. But anyway, the Cubs finally do score in the 10th, thank God, because that would have been a brutal loss. Javier Baez puts on a perfect bunt. Bryant scores.
Wait, he bunted? There was a bunt?
No,
never bunt.
Yes, Nuke, he bunted. It actually worked.
Happy.
So then after that, Wilson Contreras is up. He walks. The bases are loaded. There's 1 out. Now, because it's the National League and you have to do all these double switches, the pitcher spot is up, and it's Pedro Strop. At that point, Joe Madden still wants, I guess, obviously the thinking is that he still wants Pedro Strop to pitch the bottom of the 10th inning because he's looked pretty good. He's mowing through the lineup. So he obviously gives him the best chance to get the final 3 outs. So he lets Strop bat with the bases loaded. Now, you can argue that either way. It's like you have the bases loaded. You could pinch hit Tommy La Stella, and, you hope that you can get a couple more runs, and, you hope that whoever comes in can protect like a 3-run lead or whatever.
Logical.
That doesn't happen. Pedro Strop takes the at-bat. He hits a ground ball to third. I forget who's playing third for them. He throws home, gets the one. He gets out there. Catcher throws to first for the double play. Strop on the play, running down the first base line, tweaks his hamstring. So he's taken out of the game. Basically, the worst case scenario that could happen there happened. You don't get any runs. The inning ends, and the pitcher that you wanted to pitch at the bottom of the 10th gets hurt. Not only does he get hurt, it's a hamstring. He's out for a couple weeks. That's already been confirmed. He's out for at least 2 weeks with a hamstring strain or whatever.
Yeah.
He's getting an MRI. If it's anything worse, he's basically done for the year.
Yeah, that's a trifecta of bad.
Yeah. Like at bare minimum, the Cubs are without currently their best reliever for the next 2 weeks. He comes back with 5 games left.
Coming back.
Yeah, but Morrow's coming back with still something in his arm that he says he's going to pitch through, which
you hate to hear that. That's never reassuring.
That's the thing. That's why everyone's like, oh, but Morrow's coming back. Yeah, but first of all, he's not going to come back to be the closer. 2, he's not coming back. He's not going to be able to pitch on consecutive days. And 3rd, you don't know how good he's going to be. So Strop is done for the next 2 weeks at least. I don't know what the hell Joe Madden was thinking doing that.
Carl Edwards Jr.
Yep,
he's also been terrible. That's the thing. Okay, I put this as it was half joking. Well, one of the names was half joking, but the rest of it was true. So the Cubs have 16 games left. Their best 3 relievers right now, going off recent performance, the last 2 or 3 weeks, is Justin Wilson, who was Tyler Chatwood last year, basically, for the Cubs, who was walking guys every time he pitched. But he's been pretty good this year. The second most trusted guy is Jesse Chavez, who the Cubs traded for in July.
He's also 58 years old.
He's been pretty good though, so that's all right. That's fine. And and another old guy, 37-year-old Jorge De La Rosa, who was cut by the Diamondbacks. in August, the Cubs picked up, and he's like now their third best reliever because Steve Cishek is tired. I think if he's not already at his career high for innings pitched, he's getting close to it. So he's obviously getting fatigued. Carl Edwards Jr. can't throw a strike. His confidence is like at 0%.
Ooh.
And I mean, Strope is gone now. Morrow's coming back. You don't know how he's going to be. So
hold on, Nuke.
Fire
hold
Joe.
on. Nope. Nuke. You hold it. Nuke. Keep doing the montage.
Put a leash on me.
Give me a second. Although, we're at the time of the season now with expanded rosters. There's no kid that can come up that can maybe be serviceable, or
they have a couple guys that they could bring up. I don't know why they haven't already since the roster's expanded. Yeah, and now they have to bring somebody up. They still have the one guy, Alan Webster, who that was like a reclamation project. He's been at AAA. He used to be like a first-round pick, I think. I mean, he had a pretty good year coming back.
And then
there's Dakota Meeks, and they have to bring somebody up. They need another arm.
With regards to that, do you think it's possible? And Nuke, before you go on your rant, please feel free to chime in on this because you're pretty familiar on this. But do they have a starter in AAA or AA that they could bring up and start him off his major league in the bullpen? I mean, it's not that far fetched, and they're that desperate for an arm.
The problem is, I don't know why they didn't do this already, but like the AAA season ended, I think like 10 days ago,
a week or two ago. Yeah.
The one guy.
Go ahead.
I think the one guy who made a spot start earlier in the year in Los Angeles, who did a pretty good job. I mean, he threw a lot of pitches, but it was his MLB debut.
I remember that one, yeah.
Dwayne Underwood.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he hasn't pitched in 3 weeks. Like, are you going to bring a guy who hasn't pitched in 3? He's a starter.
You can
hasn't pitched in 3 weeks.
Right.
You could, but it's going to be.
But the problem is, this doesn't help you in the postseason.
Exactly. I mean, if this is a serious injury, the Cubs are fucking screwed.
Well, right. If he's not, well, we'll have the whole playoff discussion as well because they're only one game ahead right now.
Yeah, 1.5 in the division.
Anybody you bring up now, it really is useless. It's only to cover a spot in the bullpen, just to cover because you can't bring him into the playoffs.
Well, they got to make the playoffs, dude.
Right.
So the Cubs have 16 games or 1.5. They have a 1.5 game lead. They don't have a closer right now. They don't have a setup man right now. Everything that could go wrong has gone wrong, and
Anthony Rizzo,
sure,
Victor Caratini,
La Stella,
Tommy La Stella, Ian Happ. I mean, Joe Maddon's not afraid to do it any other time. They had Matt.
All right. We've held them off long enough. I've held them off, ladies and gentlemen. I've held them off long enough. This is like just pure gasoline.
Oh, the hot takes are coming.
This was a Christmas gift in September for
yes. This counts as your Christmas and birthday gift from the Cubs.
My present to you is not arguing back because there's nothing to defend.
So, no, he shit the bed.
This is the second week. This is the second week in a row. I might get to say I told you so.
No,
what was that?
No, you don't get an I told you so for this because you got it for Eloy. You earned that one. You do not get an I told you so for firing Joe Maddon but one of the biggest critiques the nukes of the world have had on Joe Maddon has been his management of the bullpen. I mean, even when they won the World Series, he almost killed Chapman.
Joe Maddon has never been the best in-game manager.
It's just his total embracing of unorthodoxy, just for what it seems like to be unorthodox. And today, I don't necessarily disagree with him throwing Strope up there. But if you are, although that you and I are going to agree on this. If you need Strope to go back out and pitch that inning, you tell him to just go stand up there in the box with the bat, put it like on the ground, and just let the guy throw 3 strikes and walk in because you already had the lead, right?
And there was only 1 out.
Wow.
So let him strike you out, and then top of the order, right?
Top of the order.
Don't run.
There's a DH system happens.
Yeah. So. And I know these guys are, competitive and there's danger in that. Like, I've never seen a manager tell a competitive pitcher or any player say, "Don't try your hardest." But that's one scenario where you say, "Don't do it. Don't do it." Gets this guy hurt. So I think there has to be a serious question, given the Cubs' skid these past 2 weeks. If they don't make the playoffs, what's his job? Is his job in jeopardy?
Okay, it's not going to be in jeopardy. It says 1 more year. Would it make any sense to just fire him with a year left and then hire some random person?
Rick Renteria?
DH.
Stop. Omar Vizquel?
Did you write it out? Yes.
Okay.
This isn't in defense of like Madden's decision making today, because it wasn't even that. It was that and a couple other things that he did early in the game when he should have pinch hit Wilson Contreras, because he's been terrible like for 2 months, and he should have had either Ben Zobrist or Tommy La Stella pinch hit with the bases loaded. Then
he had the bench, yeah.
Yeah, but that's beside the point. Number one, this could have been avoided if there's a DH in the National League. There's not. All right, fine. There's not much. There's not much I can complain about there. It's just not in the rule. It's stupid, but it's not in the rule. 2, if the Cubs don't make the playoffs, like it depends how it goes down. If it's because of like if it's because of the offense just like continues to be terrible, and like I mean, who else is Manning supposed to put out there? He doesn't have any more players. If they all just continue to be bad, they scored 6 runs against the Brewers. That's why they lost 2 and 3. The pitching has been phenomenal. The bullpen still leads the NL, and even though it's been crappy for the past 3 weeks,
Quintana looks good.
The starting rotation has been awesome. I think they have like 2.5 ERA the last 20 starts or something. So they've stepped it up. The bullpen is running on fumes. The offense is like, I mean, you're seeing what a team looks like when they don't have a day off for a month.
Or a DH.
But I mean, obviously he's going to get questioned if he keeps making like the dumb decisions that he made during Thursday's game. That game plan was terrible. First of all, the Cubs like left behind some guys. I don't know who, like all the guys that were available in the bullpen, but Mike Montgomery was pitching pretty good. He got pulled in the 5th inning. He should have. He could have pitched at least like 1 or 2 more innings. He pulled him early. The Cubs got the 3-2 lead. He pulls him, and then you have 5 innings from the bullpen who hasn't been that good. Then you have him bringing in like De La Rosa, who's been solid, but like I mean it's Jorge De La Rosa. You have Steve Cishek, who again he's closing in on like the most innings ever in his career. He's getting tired. He's been bad the last 3 weeks. He brings in Carl Edwards Jr., who like can't throw a strike, who's lost all confidence in his stuff, who every time he throws a ball or throws a borderline pitch, like it just looks like a sad puppy out there.
Mm-hmm.
So he's making all these moves like in the most crucial time of the year. So yeah, sure. Like I'm not saying that Joe Maddon has never been like exempt from criticism. If the Cubs like blow, they started the September with a 4-game lead, I think. If they completely blow, like they're gonna get to the playoffs. If they completely miss the playoffs, it's one of the worst collapses ever. Sure.
Go ahead.
Let's use that. Let's get into the second topic here because it's kind of all meshing together anyways. But as you mentioned, although the Cubs had a ridiculous schedule to end the season. 40 games in 41 days, 30 days in a row without a day off. I mean, I don't care what you do for work. If you have to do it 30 days in a row, that's going to fuck you up.
It's exhausting.
Yes.
But that's why I don't know. I mean, like these players are used to it. I played 30 days straight one time in the minor leagues, and these guys, listen, there are ways. No.
There are ways you can walk backwards in 20 feet of snow.
There are ways you can rest these guys. You don't, you only like you do show and goes. You basically optional BP at 5, show up, play the game. You get them a full rest day away from the game. You do later BPs, abbreviated BPs. You do, staggered kind of days where you come in, you do some work, you get out for a little while, and you go and play. You rest certain people. You manage your bullpen.
But see,
I mean, like, there's things he can't avoid. The one thing that bothers me with Madden is that the one thing is that Epstein has given him every single possible thing he could do to make that team better and to bring in insurance policies against worst case scenarios, like Darvish going down, like, Morrow being in trouble, or, and even Rizzo going out and getting Daniel Murphy. So it's like,
Daniel Murphy's sucked for the past 2 weeks.
Yeah, well,
Daniel Murphy's been garbage.
Right.
That's nothing. Madden kept batting him leadoff, even though he kept striking out like 8.5 in the beginning of the year.
So
he's finally moved down. So thank God for that.
Finish your thought, Nuke, and I want to chime in on that.
Well, I mean, basically, I'm just, my point is that I guess it would be a question. At what point do you have to look and say this is the manager's fault? I mean, like, Gabe Kapler in Philly is making like wildly just crazy bullpen moves. He's known for that. He does it all the time. It's all analytics based. And he got in real hot water in the beginning of the year for it because he brought in a pitcher that hadn't thrown a pitch in the bullpen.
Right.
He was almost sanctioned by the league. Like, Madden's known for doing making unorthodox moves with the bullpen and position players pitching and all that stuff. He can't do that now. So how much does he deserve? I mean, how much blame does he deserve if they don't get to the playoffs?
So what I wanted to feed off of your point, because you said a couple things there, is I do agree. Well, first and foremost, I want to say that Major League Baseball fucked up. No team should have this stretch going into the playoffs. Second of all, I do agree that you have to play the cards you were dealt. And with that being said, this is definitely a time, if there ever was one, where a manager can show his chops. How do you manage 30 days in a row without a day off? Now, to his defense, because someone's got to get Uncle Joe's back here, to his defense, he's in a playoff race. He's trying to get this team to the playoffs, so he doesn't really have the luxury of sitting guys. He needs they're in a win now. They have to win every game.
And here's the thing. Nuke, you said he has to get guys days off. That's why he's one of the best managers in the game, because he has done that. He's done that all year long. But right now, everyone sucks. It's Almora. He has to give Almora some plate appearances. He sucked. Ian Happ is striking out more times than Yohan Moncada right now. Jason Hayward, he got hurt the last day of August. He's been out for the last 2 weeks.
Sick backhanded slap of Moncada, you jackass.
I mean, I think Ian Happ has a higher strikeout rate, but I mean, everyone's just been bad. Daniel Murphy, hats off. Daniel Murphy gave him a spark the first week that he was since he got traded to the Cubs. Since then, he's been absolutely crappy. He sucks on defense. He's been the crappy player that we knew he was back when he was with the Mets.
You know what he'd be great at? Being a DH. He would.
So everyone's just been terrible. Kyle Schwarber he's been out a couple of games because he has a bad back. Does Madden deserve some of the blame? Yeah, but the Cubs also has a whole bunch of injuries,
and that's can't swing the bat for him.
Right, exactly. He can't go out and do it himself. He has to put the right guys in the right spot. And now, but you had a 4-game cushion. You were dealt a bad hand with some weather. This happens in baseball. Joe would say that. This happens. You got to deal with it, Oh, yeah, and that's whine and complain.
That's the thing, though. I think there's a difference between using this stretch as an excuse as why the Cubs they had their lead go down to 1.5 games to it's part of the reason. It's not the only reason. I mean, they have injuries. Okay. They've been also bad. You expected some regression, and some of the guys just haven't been playing as good as they should.
Said, the offense has been suspect all year.
Oh yeah, they're up and down.
Right. So you can't lean on your starting pitching an entire season. Something's got to give, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I mean, to me, this is exciting as a fan because now every game is meaningful. Every
outside game looking in.
Yeah, hard
outside looking in. Right, exactly. But I like it as a fan. This is what I want to see as a fan, where I got to see must-see TV for the last 16 games, watching between the Brewers and the Cubs, and every game matters. They're mixed in there with a 3-game set with the Sox. They got the Cardinals could play spoiler. Pittsburgh's playing well, and they got to play the D-backs. So
I'm gonna go to one of those games next week.
Yeah.
It should
you
be
are?
So it's
not stressful at all in person.
No, but that clubhouse is feeling it. Guaranteed, they're feeling a little bit. But I think it's part of the reason that Rizzo pulled that little stunt he did last night.
Which was awesome.
I mean, thank God they won on Thursday, because if that happens, they happen at the top of the 10th. If that happens, like Strope gets hurt, and then in the bottom half, like the Nationals walk off, like season's over. I'm sorry, the season would have been over.
It's like the dagger.
But no, I
this
agree.
this is why it's fun, and this is why those games like we always complain about the 162 games and meaningless baseball. Why is there so much? Blah blah blah. These games, this is where players look back and it's like, God, there was that 3-game set in early August that we dropped that we shouldn't have, that could have made a difference. The Phillies happened to the Phillies this year. They're on a massive.
You want to talk about a collapse? The Phillies.
Yeah. And Washington is climbing out of the dumps. I mean, Atlanta's going to win the division, and Washington's not going to get a wild card spot. But I mean, they're making it interesting. So
No, I totally agree.
It's 2 weeks of fun baseball around the league.
As a baseball fan in general, this, like you said, Nuke, this is what you want. You want edge of your seat. As someone that thoroughly enjoys watching Cubs Twitter just eat itself alive, this is going to be fantastic because that's what Cubs Twitter does. But it's just, I don't know. I just
put a bow on Madden. What is it? What is the measure of his success this year? If he doesn't make it to the playoffs,
make it to the playoffs, then it's
before this week, people were talking about how this was his best managing job with the Cubs.
Right. If
everything is just, all the injuries are just starting to take its toll, because before, I have a fucking fly just flying around here. Before, it was like Chris Bryant was out for 2 months, their closer was out, and they had the best record in the National League. They were like on pace to win 95 games, and now everything's just gone to shit the past 2 weeks.
If he doesn't make the playoffs, the conversation is warranted.
I don't think he loses. I don't think he loses.
No, he won't. But you can have the conversation, which we probably will. But
no, you know why? Because it's going to go back to the. Obviously,
overall record.
I mean, people still wanted him fired after the Cubs won the fucking World Series. So of course he's going to get torched.
You're never going to win in this day and age with social media and shit. You're never going to win that. But
I mean,
he's going to take 2019 off. And then
it's fine.
The Sox are going to be fishing around.
The Cubs didn't go over the luxury tax, so they're going to sign Bryce Harper next year, and it's going to be fine.
I gained a lot of respect for Bryce Harper this week when he went out with a rake and some diamond dry and started trying to rake the field with the grounds crew.
Hard
pre-game.
Move.
No, that's a classic.
You love it, so come on.
That never happens with professional baseball players.
Blue collar guy.
Blue collar guy. I like him. He's coming to Philly. Don't worry, he's coming to Philly. And then we're getting Machado too.
With all that being said, before we get into next topic here, because we are in Heart Attack City with the Cubs, and because it is such a close race, this is a great time for you to make sure that you're following at Pinwheels Ivy Pod. All three of us will be doing live reaction videos throughout the course of the end of the season here when shit goes down. I tried to do one about Kopech and not cry, so it came out a little weird, but I got my point across. But
I feel like I'm gonna start a theme with this, like weird places to do a live reaction with Matt. I did my first one from a grocery store.
As long as you have pants on, I'm good with it.
I mean, you can be pantsless, but just keep it above the waist.
Yeah, that's fine. Yeah. Well, I just basically what I was saying is don't do it while you're taking a shit. Don't be dropping.
That would be a weird place.
Don't pull a cap and be in your bathroom.
Just lips. All I saw were lips in that thing. Oh my god.
But so we haven't talked about it. We need to touch on it. It happened on last Friday. So it's been a full week. It feels like it's been 10 years.
Yeah, no, I was thinking about that before we started the show. I'm like, wait, when did that happen? Was that last week? 2 weeks ago? It seems so long.
Feels like 2 weeks.
The reason why we waited to this part of the show to discuss this is because it has been a week. I'd like to think some cooler heads have prevailed. I've seen a lot of stupid shit still. But people need to realize the injury to Michael Kopech, it sucks, and that's about where it ends. It sucks. It's not devastating. It doesn't kill the rebuild. It doesn't do any of that shit. It just sucks. The only bad part about this is you lose a year this early in his career at this age. That's the only thing that sucks. He's going to come back. He's going to be fine. It's 2018. We have medical advances that are beyond comprehension right now. They're going to put his arm back together. He's going to be fine.
It's not unexpected. For a guy that throws that hard and that size, it's what happens when you start putting those kinds of crazy forces on that arm. Dylan Cease went through it.
Giolito
went through it.
Yeah.
Jace Fry went through it.
Yes.
So you say what you want about Lucas Giolito, but Dylan Cease is doing really well. He's he's humming it up there in triple digits.
He showed flashes. He got better as the season
progressed. He's going to be fine. He's definitely going to be fine. So
basically, just to tie this up real quick, it sucks. He'll be fine. Rebuild, still on. Shit happens. It's going to be okay. And for the love of God, do not celebrate fucking injuries.
Yeah, seriously.
Don't do that. I don't care who you root for. I don't care what. You look like the lowest of the low piece of shit when you celebrate somebody getting injured in sports.
You're here.
Be agreed.
Yeah.
Terrible.
Be better. That's garbage. And I know there's people that work and write for Sports Mockery that celebrate. You know what? I said it to them as well. And these guys will vouch for me in the chats. I told people, be better. You look like an asshole.
Mm-hmm.
You do. And think about what you're doing when you do that. Like, yeah, he's on your – when the Cubs and Sox aren't even rivals. But anyways, that's another topic. But you just
got me riled up.
He's on the other team in the city. But that man has worked his entire freaking life to get to that point. His entire life for one goal. And then he gets hurt.
We're giving him silence right now.
It's over. Like, it's not over for Kopech. He's fine. He's going to be fine. But don't celebrate that shit. Like, that.
This is those
scumbag.
For me, being a Cubs fan, it reminded me of the moment that I saw the first tweet that it was like he had the UCL damage.
Mm-hmm.
It was like the same feeling when in 2016 when Schwarber when he went out with the ACL and the severe ankle sprain. Yeah, and it was like they're completely two different situations, but like the way that I related them was the goals don't change.
Right.
It sucks for the individual. So it obviously sucks for Michael Kopech that he's going to lose an entire year, and he loses a year of
service.
Just playing time. No, he doesn't lose service time.
Just the playing time. He loses a year of his career, basically.
Just a year of baseball.
So that's why having a Kyle Schwarber, obviously, he came back for the World Series and was fucking awesome. Mm-hmm. Cubs won. Shout out to the Cubs who won the World Series. But at that time, the goal for the Cubs still remained. Nothing changed. It sucked for Kyle Schwarber that he had to miss that entire year. It was a hell of a year. It was a fun year. But the Cubs were still strong enough that the goal remained win a World Series. For the White Sox, the goal is still to see it through the rebuild. This doesn't really – it sucks that you lost Kopech for a year. It doesn't really change the rebuild. It's fine.
No.
At best, the White Sox were going to be like an average team next year.
Yes.
The target date or whatever is still 2020. That's when you want to see that's when you want to see the glimpses of a competitive, like, well, not just a competitive team, but like of a contending team. So that doesn't really change right now. And yes, it's going to take time for Kopech because even in 2020, when he returns, like I think he's going to be kind of limited, maybe a little.
I think so. I think he will be.
Guys still have to work back, and I mean, I guess he gets all of 2019. It's not like he got lost in the middle of this year.
Which, to that point, big fan of the White Sox just straight out coming out and being like, don't even ask. He's done.
Yeah. And, I don't think that there was any kind of negligence on the club's part in this.
Not at all.
He went out every fifth day. He only pitched like 14 more innings than he did the season before.
Mm-hmm.
He didn't even reach my cap. I think it's just a freak accident, and hopefully they found it early enough where it's not Well, actually, they said it was a significant tear, and we haven't heard the second opinion that he was supposed to get. We just assume that it's done.
Right.
But given his work ethic, knowing what we know and what has been said about him,
Yep.
and that he's still young and he still has those recuperative properties kind of still flowing around him,
Great point.
I'm not saying, and here's the other thing, I'm not putting him on a timeline before the 2020 season, but I'm also saying that he can accelerate this kind of timeline for 2020 where, you know, the spring training facilities in Arizona, it's beautiful there all year round, right? So he's going to be pitching in some capacity somewhere by next fall-ish, probably throwing-ish, next fall, winter. He has the whole winter. He'll be there early at the spring training facility, working up to a point where it would be like as if he didn't have the whole 2019 off.
Right.
So not that he'll be in any kind of like better form than he would be if he had thrown all of 2019. He'll be like picking right back up from 2018, hopefully around that February mark, where we shouldn't see a drop off, but he should be back to full strength, 100%. That's what
I'm not worried.
Speaking of elbow injuries, a minor one, Yu Darvish had a little cleanup on his right elbow, so he'll be ready for spring training 2019.
It's kind of like torsion,
right? Oh, do you have any more nut stories this week?
Yeah,
Twitter was all twerked because of torsion.
No. So
I do have one more story. You want to hear about it?
No, I don't want a testicle story. No.
There was this one time in college for a drill, they put us all in front of a wall.
Sounds like hazing. What, are you to get some people in the White Sox organization into trouble?
It kind of was. It was in college.
Oh, that's right. You said college.
It was like, here, you.
Well, now finish.
My coach, who's crazy coach.
Finish
It's
really
really
now.
story. But I wasn't wearing a cup again. How many times did I get hit in the nuts not wearing a cup?
How do you have children?
Kids, yeah.
and I'm pretty good at it. I got another one coming.
Hey!
So
Super seaman.
it's like a third. Champion. It's like, here, if you want, it's like this old school mentality coaching where it's like, hey, you got to be tough. You want to play the hot corner? We're gonna drill 100-mile-an-hour fungos 10 feet from you, right in front of a wall, off a gym floor. And one just came up and got me right in the gonads. And I remember this one.
Why?
I think we have a weekly segment, Nuke's gonad story of the week.
Yeah.
I feel like they were just and like, we had a female trainer and I'm like, walking around with that ass out, kind of like dainty, like, and she's like, just let me know if anything looks abnormal down there.
Let me know when it drops back down.
15 years I've been looking at it like, is it abnormal? Was that there before?
Well, it seems to be working. It seems to be working, bud. So
everyone's worked.
Oh. All right. So on that note, the Cubs, as Nuke said earlier, in this sprint to the finish of the season that they're in, do have to go to the South Side for 3 games. It's a 3-game series? Yeah, 3 games.
Yep.
Yeah, but they get to face Covey, so who cares?
Do they get to face Rodon, though? That's a loss.
I don't know if I think it was Giolito, Covey, and
it doesn't matter. The Cubs offense right now, I'm down on the Cubs right now. I'm not completely down, but like if you tell me that something terrible happens again, I wouldn't be surprised.
So with the Cubs' current situation, if they go lose 2 out of 3 to the White Sox, it can prove pretty shitty to them trying to make the playoffs. And you best damn believe the meatiest of meatball fans are praying for the White Sox to be spoilers. This will make my head explode. I will maybe rip out my eyeballs because Twitter will be unbearable if that is to happen.
God.
So right now the matchups are Reynaldo Lopez versus Lester,
Cubs.
Giolito versus Quintana, and Covey against Hendricks.
That's what
you guys.
I mean, the Cubs better. I mean, these are the 3 weakest games left on the Cubs schedule. They need to sweep those
They
3
have
games.
to.
Yeah, I
And
would
hey, they
say.
get a DH. Woo!
Yeah,
And they will
there
get
you
a
go.
DH, that's
and
right.
they get a DH. Now watch them win all 3 games because they get a DH. Mm-hmm.
Lopez is probably going to be their toughest game. He's at least
Yes.
fairly consistent. Giolito could go out and throw a gem.
Or
He's been
walk
pretty
20
good.
guys.
Or lay an egg.
Yep.
Kobe, it's like literally.
By the way, shout out Jose Quintana, who's pitching his balls off and like keeping the Cubs in
Well, you
this
know what?
division race.
I have a theory on that. The reason why he is because their offense sucks, and he pitches better when the team he's on offense doesn't
Can't
exist.
fucking score.
Yeah, it's his thing, dude. It's his thing. Everybody's got their thing. Quintana's thing is pitching a gem when his offense blows.
Oh,
There's a chance that the Cubs could face the Brewers in the first round in the playoffs. And if that
would be-
happens,
please let that happen. Prime Kato Kalin.
if
that would be-
that happens, like Quintana
Have we
has to
checked
be
in
one
on
of the first
Cato?
2 games.
Have we checked in on Cato? Is he back on Twitter?
He's Cato.
I don't know, but
There's
someone
optimism. There's glass half full in Milwaukee.
I forgot who it was. One national ESPN had he like tweeted something out like OJ Simpson's pool boy from the 90s continues to draw attention because he tweets angrily about the Brewers and their manager in terrible English. Welcome to 2018. And I was just like, hey,
That was an
bud.
ESPN report.
Yeah, no, it wasn't a report, it was a tweet from like one of the great
geez.
guys. But I started typing out a tweet in defense of Cato, and I was like, what am I doing? Like,
Wow, I'm attached.
I love you, Cato, but brah, if the Cubs play the Brewers in the first round of playoffs, we have to pull out all the stops to get Kato Kalin on this show.
All right. Let's start.
We have to do it. I can't promise
Are
you
the
he will
DMs
be.
open?
I think they are,
It should be.
but
Cato?
I can't promise that it'll happen. But I can damn well promise we're going to try our hardest.
I guarantee Cato will come on the show. I bet he will.
Dude, did you listen to his interview on Part of My Take? I know Aldo did.
No.
It
Sounded
was,
like
it was
a
so,
genuine crazy person.
Yeah, it was so bad. It was so awkward and just it was. He talks like he tweets.
What did you expect?
I don't know, like a normal human conversation.
Expected it to be an act?
I thought it was all.
Dude, he was talking like he just spent the- Yeah, he acted like he just spent the last 12 hours with a rag full of Elmer's glue. Like the dude was he was on a different planet.
What does Cato do?
Tweet about the Brewers?
Like, what?
He lives
Like,
off the
beside-
royalties from the trial.
I think he wrote a book and he probably gets some royalties from the OJ Simpson TV show that they made for likeness
No, I don't
rights.
think he
I went on Twitter today, like,
is.
to see what he was
Personality.
doing, and he was like flying somewhere. I'm like, was he doing a show? Like, what does he do?
Appearances? I have no idea.
Who the hell is booking? I mean, as we say that we want him on, who is booking?
For free.
How much
Exactly.
you want?
So we do got to talk a little bit of White Sox. So Omar Vizquel
Next White Sox manager.
just won Manager of the Year.
In the Carolina League.
Yes. Why do you say
So
that
did
like
Joe McEwing.
Whoa,
twice.
time out, Hardo. Why do you say it like such a in the Carolina League? Yeah, you got to start somewhere, dick.
He's
Because I
working
know
himself
where
up
it's
through
going.
the system.
Yeah.
Oh, he's in the yeah, sure.
hmm
Go ahead, go ahead, Zoe.
So
As you said, it's team Matt by himself.
yes, again,
Team Nuke.
there are intelligent people out there that think Omar Vizquel could definitely be the next manager of the White Sox. I am very
You
vocal
happen to
about
be
this.
one of them.
I agree with the intelligent people. I think it makes so much sense to me. He's a great baseball mind. He's new to the game. Players definitely seem to have crazy respect for him. He's getting a lot out of these guys. He's a little nuts, which you kind of need in a baseball manager. And I think it fits. I think that's the accoutrement to the
Fancy
rebuild.
bitch.
Can we not ignore the incredible roster he had?
You
played
got
it-
to managing is about managing the personalities. Nuke. He has a lot of big personalities, and he
I think
manages
I've
them
said
well.
it 4 times now on this show. You got to play with the cards that you're dealt.
Blake Rutherford, Mick Rodolfo,
What's he supposed to do?
Gavin
Be like,
Sheets, Luis Gonzalez,
whoa, these guys are too
Rivera,
good. Give me another team.
Louis
This team is too good.
Lubob here and there.
Mm-hmm.
Dylan Cease.
Okay, wait, no.
Bernardo
Flores. Give us this. Give us your defense of why Ricky should be the guy when the White Sox are ready to compete. What does he do well as a manager?
Yes, what does Ricky do well?
I don't think there's anything that I don't think there's any way to even evaluate it right now. So that would be my point.
He loves to bunt.
Give
That's why
him
Nuke
a
loves him.
damn
He loves to
chance.
bunt.
Yeah.
I like the bunting. I like the old school.
And
that
Ricky loves to
roster
give out
is built
free
for
outs.
speed. That roster is built for speed,
Not
and
comfort.
that's what you got to do. Put the ball on the ground. They built for speed or they built for comfort? You old sailor.
You old sailor, you.
No. It's too early. I'm not saying Omar isn't the next White Sox manager. I have a heart for Ricky.
I agree.
That's what it is.
Yeah.
There you go.
Give this guy a
We
chance.
found it. Although said, what does Ricky do good? And you go, oh, it's too early. You couldn't even mention one thing that he does good.
I mean, there's not a move that I've been like, wow, that's fantastic.
What,
that was a great move that no one
Do
saw
you
coming.
guys think I've seen that. I obviously don't watch like every White Sox game, but we've talked about it before how he's benched some of the young guys, especially when Moncada doesn't hustle or whatever when he was struggling on offense. Is he consistent? Because I've seen like other guys like where it's, I don't know, maybe like an Abreu or somebody else where they don't really
Doesn't look like they hustle.
Yeah, and then like Renteria is kind of inconsistent on that.
Now, I want to say this. No, it's true. He has been tough but fair on a lot of these younger guys, and he doesn't give a shit what your paper looks like. He's very consistent with everyone. And I do want to make this clear. I am not anti-Ricky. Not anti-Ricky.
Mm-hmm.
I just don't think he is the guy. I think Omar's going to be the guy to take us.
I don't get it. Like, as a fan of baseball, I don't know who Rick Renteria is. I don't know him as a player. I know Omar Vizquel, 24 years, 11 Gold Gloves, and 4 All-Star games, right?
Yes.
Right. Stud. Played until he was way too old to be playing, but still was good.
Really overrated.
Yeah. A defensive specialist, we'll say.
Yes.
But
the Ozzie Smith of his
that's
era.
a name. It's a name.
I would agree to you if there wasn't multiple reports and articles and interviews of players expressing the fact that they've learned so much from him in the year, and they're saying how much of a player's coach he is.
Can we cut through the bullshit?
What do we got?
Yeah, where are you going?
We all know the PR stuff.
Right.
The canned responses. Nobody has come out and said that I've read where I'm like, wow, that is a genuine endorsement of his incredible baseball acumen.
Manager of the year didn't do that for you?
Yeah, manager of the year. Fine. Their team went like 84-54. They won both halves, and then they got swept in the first series. They got swept with an incredible roster. It was stacked, like literally, like probably like 40 to 50% of all of those names. Even more
Omar
than
Vizquel,
that,
choke artist. Wow.
I'm not saying he doesn't know what he's talking about, and I'm not saying that he's not a good manager. I just think it's a little bit overblown.
Ooh, I have the perfect question.
How about Justin Jershely, who was down in Kannapolis last year, that took the team up? I think they won their league last year.
What's his name?
Justin Jershely.
His last name is too hard. He's never going to be a manager. I'm sorry. You have a name like that, you're not going to make it.
Deep family roots in baseball, but the guy, he's really young.
Gotta change his name.
A major league manager right now. He's got to change his name. But like, that's a guy that took a team that had nobody that anybody really knew of. Even Zach Collins was up before in Winston-Salem. Maybe
he could be the bench coach. Although
so are you ready for this question?
Yes. What is the perfect question?
Duke, who would you rather have as the next White Sox manager? Omar Vizquel or Joe Maddon?
Omar Vizquel.
Ah, okay.
So
There you go. I got him to say Omar Vizquel is the next White Sox man.
Yes, thank you.
You did.
Clip that, and you would take Ricky Renteria over Joe Madden.
I don't even know how you can ask that question right now.
You just did.
Rick Renteria over Joe Madden?
Yeah.
You know,
Yes or
I'm
no,
going with
Duke?
Ricky. I'm giving the guy a chance. I am one of Ricky's boys. Give the guy a
You're
damn
loyal.
shot.
I'll give you. You're like a pit bull, man.
Give him
You're
a damn
loyal as
shot.
shit. I'll give you that.
Until he gets like recalcitrant and doesn't obdurate about things and just is making like
Whoa. Put the thesaurus away there, dude. Way too many Starbucks for you, Batch.
I'll just say one thing. If he makes Eloy Jimenez bunt one time next year, fired.
Gone.
well,
Fired.
last night is
That inning, fired.
two things that happened last night that I never thought would happen. That I would disagree with a bunt call with Daniel
Polka bunt? Yeah, that's stupid.
Yeah,
Well,
there you go. Strike
but
one.
the only
Ricky.
reason why was because that left-hander Hill is disgusting against
Omar-
lefties.
Omar wouldn't make polka bunt.
What was the
Polka
result?
don't bunt. Polka
was the
don't
result?
bunt.
No, he doesn't
Polka don't bunt.
What was the
Or-
result?
It was an out. It was a strikeout.
Shocker.
I know. Well, you don't bunt polka.
It was a
And then-
strikeout.
On top of that, I defended a strike 3 call on Yoan Moncada.
Yes, you did. I'm gonna print that tweet out and frame it and send it
Umpires,
to
umpires.
That was
bad.
the worst call I've seen all season.
Guys, that happens every game. That happens
you.
once
But
an inning.
it happens to
Umpires
Moncada
does.
the most.
All the time. And I did see a tweet today where I think like 48 times it has happened to Yoan Moncada 10 more times than anybody else in the league. And like
I
Mike
mentioned
Trout
that.
was one of those top.
I forget what
Did
we
you
were
put that
talking
out?
about. I didn't, but I remember I mentioned that earlier in the week when we were somewhere we were talking about Moncada and his struggling year and how he should be better next year. I'm like,
I
it's
still
just
don't excuse it
the
because
close calls are ridiculous. How many have gone against his way? It's the same thing with Kyle Schwarber. He has a whole bunch of borderline calls go against him.
But last night was like not even borderline. Like if you looked at the White Sox Twitter,
It's like 6 inches inside.
it was like outside of the red. It wasn't even pink. It was blue. It was all blue.
Blue balls.
I mean, it was high and out. I mean, and Moncada lingered there in the batter's box, and I'm like, hell yeah, let him know. That was bad. That was real bad. Wasn't even close.
Respect the umpire. Respect the game.
I like it. No flipping bat flips.
Oh,
Dude, that one kid.
shout out to him.
That one was the most cocky bat flip I've ever seen. We'll tweet out the video.
Put it in your hole.
No, that kid deserved to be like drop kicked with metal cleats. That one
He
was
stood
brutal.
there,
Oh,
watched
you're
it.
right. You're right.
Watch
That
it
pitcher,
land.
what a terrible pitch. How do you allow that?
No.
Somebody beat up that pitcher for being
And
terrible.
the
This
catcher-
is why. You want me to get up on a soapbox? I'm going to get up on a soapbox right now. I'm going to let him have it. This is why bat flips are bad in Major League Baseball, because kids, these little young whippersnappers, these little 10, 12, 15-year-olds that don't know how to bat flip do that garbage.
I'm pretty
that
sure
shit.
Babe Ruth was just like stand at home plate and watch a home run for like
Yeah.
10 seconds.
Babe Ruth.
Maybe
The most famous bat flip is like from that, I forget who the Cardinals player was, but like in the World Series, they do like walk down the first base line, looked at the
Scott
home run
Speed.
for 10 seconds. No, it was like in the 80s, I think. He walks down the first base line, looks at it, is holding his bat, and like flips it up in the air. Like,
Listen, that's fine as long as you're not standing there.
who cares? Don't give up a home run if you don't want someone to bat
Don't
flip.
stand in the batter's box.
Nuke. Just make sure you don't trip while you backpedal. But no, that kid should have thrown a better pitch.
Should have thrown a better pitch.
And you know what? If you're mad about it, then his catcher should have did something. His catcher did try to puff out his chest when the kid was finally coming home, and the kid just pushed his ass out of there.
I feel like I need to, cite Bull Durham here, where Kevin Costner gets in the guy's ear. I give you a gift, and you stand here and show up my pitcher. Run, dummy.
Oh yeah,
You've never seen Bull Durham?
Well, I have. No, I have. But yeah, maybe the kid just
Crash Davis. I've seen it.
He should have pitched better. And that's how you avoid that.
You don't got to show up the other team. I bet the team that was hitting, but they were up 10 runs too.
I didn't see the score.
Me either.
You don't want your ass kicked? Don't to be
No.
better.
Yeah,
Bad
be
flips.
better.
Bad for the
That's
game.
that's the moral of the story right here. Be better.
Bad for the game.
Be better. Never bunt.
We don't bunt.
all right,
Polka
fellas.
don't bunt.
So
That's a new shirt.
Polka don't bunt. So just again, reminder to everybody: make sure you're following us at Pinwheels Ivy Pod. We retweet our personal Twitter handles all the time, and it's in the bio, so you can follow us all individually. We're going to be doing a lot more periscopes with reactions as the Cubs come down the home stretch here. You're probably going to get to see a lot of angry Aldo, which is always fun. Or that Aldo right there, where he's just so pissed off he can't even talk.
I'll do it. I'll do one after that. I'm going to next week. Was it Wednesday's game in Arizona? I'll do one after that game.
Fair enough. I'll probably do a bunch during the. What is it called now? Is it just the Crosstown series?
I guess. Because I think BP. I don't know. I think BP took away the sponsorship because no one cared.
Yeah, I was going to say no one knows.
No one cared.
Nuke, it used to be called the BP Crosstown Cup, and they had like this fake trophy. And
who was BP though?
BP, the gas.
British Petroleum.
Oh, okay.
I'm not saying this to be a dick. And Zoe, as a White Sox fan, you know it's true. The only people who cared about that trophy were Meatball White Sox fans.
Oh, absolutely.
Like the year that the Cubs started to get good again in 2015, 2016, I think the White Sox, they had a dumb rule where if you tied, you got to keep the trophy or something.
No one cared.
Yeah, but like the Cubs would tie, or like they'd be 3-3 in the season series. So the White Sox would keep the trophy, and the White Sox would have like an on-field celebration. Like
I'm
after the game.
I'm really starting to feel like this is like a made up, and this is from. I feel like we hear this a lot on Twitter between both fan bases. Like literally, the fans don't care.
Like, the Cubs and White Sox are not rivals. They're not rivals.
Oh, don't tell that some fans.
They're not rivals.
The only thing it's good for is like, not even friendly, but fan banter back and forth, like about stadiums. That's it. I'm not going to that shit show. I'm not going to that crumbling, whatever.
Oh, I bet you I can get good seats because there's only 5 people there.
Yeah, that's the only thing.
I can't say this enough. If you take anything away from this episode, 1, don't be a dick and celebrate injuries. And 2, the Cubs and White Sox are not rivals. They're not rivals.
Wait, you're saying the teams that don't play in the same league and play each other 6 times a year aren't rivals?
No.
It's just not as strong as the Subway Series.
Even that's not right. Who the fuck cares? The only reason Mets fans care, it's the same thing the White Sox, because you just have less fans. I'm sorry, that's just how it works. You have fewer fans.
The only thing that could make it worthwhile is if both teams are good.
Or I'm in favor of this. If there's ever an MLB realignment, I don't care. Put the Cubs and White Sox in the same division.
Yeah, that'll get weird fast. I'm all for that.
That will get really weird.
That will get weird fast, and I'm all for that.
Like if you're a White Sox fan or a Cubs fan, and you're like at least top 2 most hated or despised teams isn't someone in your own division, you're just straight up a Meatball fan. You only watch to hate the other team.
Yes.
Can I say this? I think that Chicago has 2 teams that are the safest and most secure against any kind of move by Major League Baseball. I don't think the Cubs or the White Sox ever leave Chicago.
I mean, the White Sox, their stadium deal is going to run out, isn't it?
Buddy. Oh, no. This is going to be a whole nother fucking episode.
I mean, the White Sox are going to leave in, 2027 or something?
I can see them being relocated.
There was the White Sox Florida thing. There was the Cubs moving out to Rosemont. There was
the White Sox and Cubs will never not be Chicago teams.
Okay, breaking news. You heard it here first.
I mean, the Cubs, because they have their they have whatever Wrigley Field. What's it called? Something. The Wrigley Field, they can't do anything with it.
Yeah, it's a historical.
Historical landmark.
Yeah.
You're always going to have that.
All right.
You want to toss that in for next week? That's probably a good off-season topic.
That is a good off-season discussion. So make sure you're following us, Pinwheels Ivy, on Twitter. Make sure you like, rate, review, subscribe, tell your friends. any way you could show the love will be greatly appreciated. Our DMs are always open on the Pinwheels Ivy Pod. So if there's something you want us to talk about, or you just want to say, hey, Nuke, you're really handsome. Hey, Zoe, you suck. Whatever you want to do, just shoot it the DM. We're all about it. It's fine. So, yeah, that's it. So for Matt Anuko, remember, not fancy, basic. There you go. Ooh, look at that timing. Good work, bud. For Aldo Soto, I'm Matt Swatsky. They call me Zoe. This is a Pinwheels Ivy Pod. Be careful to our friends on the East Coast. It looks like it's about to touch land, so be safe. Hopefully you're out of there and you got to listen to this podcast and laugh a little bit and forget about all that shit for a minute. But and I'm glad I just reminded you, stupid. But thank you guys very much. That's the show. We'll talk to you next week. Take care.
Brush your hair.
Bring back a DH to everyone.